Caleb Calhoun, for my money, is the man on commentary and scoops, allfortennessee.com. He joins me here because Robert Gillespie is gone as the Vols running backs coach. And by the way, there's also director of player personnel, Bob Welton, but evidently he really wasn't going to have a role anyway. Jeremy Pruitt hired his own guy, basically, brought him in. His name is Drew Hughes. I don't think that's much of a, that's a half dozen here, six in the other type of thing. I really don't think that that's all that significant. But losing Robert Gillespie might be. Now, we've spoken of some names, and I want to credit you. You've said Chris Barkley from Purdue, certainly a team that scored a lot of points last year, might be interested in the Vols, or might be the potential pick, if you will. Tell me, you said you had about 10 guys or so. Anybody else that's a little sexy, including Barkley or possibly Chris Weinke?
Well, I mean, if you want to kind of galvanize the Tennessee fan base, I don't know if this would be he does have experience in this, but Montario Hardesty is on staff now, and that would be obviously a promotion. Another one that I don't know why people don't look at it as much anymore would be, now this would technically be a step down for him in terms of his role, but he's at a bigger school, so Tennessee, I'm pretty sure, would pay him a lot more. As a matter of fact, looking at his salary, he'd be about $300,000 more. But Jeff Horton, the running backs coach at San Diego State, he's also the offensive coordinator. Football Scoop named him the running backs coach of the year a couple of years ago, and they're always one of the top 25 rushing offenses. And he has experience in the NFL. He's more of a veteran. He's not usually your running backs coach is one of those up-and-comers, but he's a seasoned veteran who had, I think, experience coaching out at Nevada back in the 90s, but he would not be a bad hire either. And, that's the veteran you can get. You could probably pay him significantly more, even though it's a step down because he loses that offensive coordinator title. I think that could be a sleeper. I'm surprised nobody's hired him away from San Diego State yet.
Well, you know what, Caleb Calhoun of All for Tennessee, San Diego State, you could see that Hardesty might be the most likely because it's the easiest hire. And that is a name, and all this. I just will say this, whoever is hired as the running backs coach, there are not a lot of players coming back for Tennessee that I'm high on. One of them is, however, Ty Chandler. I liked what I saw out of him as a freshman. And so I think whoever the running back coach is will have at least one piece of clay that's really something to work with, something to sculpt, if you will. Tennessee, they got what? First of all, let's go back to the basketball team. I was going to say the basketball team here. Let's go back to Saturday. What went wrong against Alabama?
I think it's just, again, there's a couple of things. I mean, we are sometimes underrating how good of a team and how dangerous of a team Alabama actually is this year, but also Tennessee. I mean, I've been saying this for a little while. I don't think that I said the goal for Tennessee should be the NCAA tournament this year, and that's it. And I think sometimes because of a few winning streaks they've gone on, people have kind of overhyped how good they actually are. That 5-game winning streak, the best one they had was at Kentucky. And I don't want to dismiss winning at Kentucky, but this is not like your typical John Calipari Kentucky team this year.
No.
And every team they beat on that winning streak was kind of in a down period of the season, was kind of not playing up to their level. So it doesn't look. So they're kind of getting a bunch of teams at the right time. And I don't want to take anything away from them. I think Rick Barnes has done an excellent job. They still have that huge win at Purdue, and they have a couple other pretty good wins too. And there's still a lot for the NCAA tournament at this point. But I don't think that. I think the freshmen will or not the freshmen, but the young players. There's only one senior on that team, and I think a lot of the players are feeling themselves a little bit. They're headed to Tuscaloosa to play a team that's not slumping the way the other 5 teams they had beaten were, and just got hit with a dose of reality in the worst way. And that actually happened. I remember Bruce Pearl's his first year in Knoxville. Tennessee was on this 8-game winning streak, had gotten into the top 10. And that was when Chris Lawson was going off, and they got a wake-up call with the blowout loss at Alabama. So when Alabama's a good team and you're playing at Tuscaloosa,
Let's go to the flip side. What went right against the Gamecocks yesterday?
I don't know if anything went right or if it's as much as they just got lucky to pull out that win. Kind of the usual suspects actually stepped up yesterday. I think that, for Tennessee, the two big things are for Grant Williams on the inside and Jordan Bowden on the outside to consistently play at a high level. Bowden's the best guard. Grant Williams is the best big man on the team. And both of them came through yesterday when they needed to. So I think that was the big thing. They got the win. It wasn't a pretty win, but they were able to close out another game, which again, as I've been insisting for a long time now, and nobody wants to listen to me on this, but the idea that Tennessee has not been able to close out games this year has been a complete lie and a myth. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, yesterday I think they've won way more close games now than they've lost. I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say I think that was a spike story after the North Carolina loss earlier this year.
I am taking, I am misrepresenting the Caleb Calhoun dramatic pauses. He's on radio. He's doing the Paul Harvey thing, and I'm misreading them, but I am not misreading the bracketology that I see. A lot of people have Tennessee as a 4 seed. Do you agree with that?
At this point, I would agree with it. I think Tennessee is locked in as a 4 seed in every way. I mean, they're number 18th in both polls, which would kind of assume a 5 seed, but their RPI is number 13. They have a top 10 strength of schedule, and go down the list. And yeah, they've got some huge quality wins. So I do think right now they're a 4 seed, but I mean, don't get me wrong, they could definitely play their way onto a 5 seed. They haven't looked great the last 2 games against South Carolina, even though they're a dangerous team. You shouldn't struggle with them like that at home.
What do you think?
This isn't last year's Frank Martin's team.
What do you No, it isn't. No. What do you think of some of the bracketology? I don't know if you've seen this, that would have a Tennessee potentially playing, say, Middle Tennessee State or East Tennessee State. Have you seen that? Any thoughts on that, Caleb Calhoun?
Yeah, I saw that yesterday, and the most interesting one was there's one that has the opening bracket would be in Boise, and it would be Tennessee with Middle Tennessee and East Tennessee. So, like, all these schools from Murfreesboro to Johnson City are headed up to Boise, Idaho.
I know. I've seen the same thing. I'm like, Boise, of all places to go, Boise, Idaho. We'll have to find some sports bar around here that has a good fry special or something like that. What would you do? Fries with the barbecue sauce, a little bit of hickory on it, because that's what they do in East Tennessee. It's very sweet barbecue, as I'm sure you know, Caleb Calhoun. Of course, you're from the Memphis style, which is a little spicier, I believe. But anyway, I just wanted to say, I guess that's what we'll have to be marketing here if that happens come tournament time on Tri-City Sports Now. But it would be tremendous interest, certainly around here. And, the Vols would, I think, even at least going into the game, come out pretty well, because certainly Tennessee basketball, which is not always thought of as being kings of the hill, great powerhouse and all that, but if they're playing MTSU or ETSU, then yeah, they're the top dog. They're the team that the in-state rival is got to knock off, and that's respect. So you get it in the SEC, obviously, but could be very interesting to see Caleb Calhoun of All for Tennessee. As I look through this, and I just want to go back to a little bit to Gillespie, and we talked about how much he's out there. Are your antenna up over here? Because when this happens, I realize a new broom sweeps clean. I realize a new broom should sweep clean after a 4-8 year, but at the same time, you're like, what's going on there? Is this, so different that Gillespie said, I can't take this anymore, I'm out of here? I mean, is that a fear of yours, Caleb Calhoun?
For Tennessee State, not so much. I mean, I've seen other great coaches succeed with drama to start their tenure somewhere. Mm-hmm. I'm not comparing Jerry Pruitt to Nick Saban, but let's not forget Nick Saban didn't have one staff member follow him at LSU. And so times with first-year head coach, you see a little bit of things like this. So I don't think it's the biggest deal, although Jay Graham with Butch Jones 5 years ago did turn out to be something. But yeah, I don't think that that's indicative every time.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. Bob Shoop, who I still like, I mean, now at Mississippi State, but it looked like when he left Penn State to go to Tennessee and he left James Franklin, that I remember at that time it was like, oh, this is the beginning of the end for James Franklin. Didn't work out that way.
Not at all.
Yeah. Anyway, well, Tri-Cities...
James Franklin did say himself was probably the best offensive coordinator hire ever, who is now at Mississippi State.
Yes. So we'll see what goes on there. Anyway, Caleb Calhoun of All for Tennessee. Really, like I said, if you're not reading this and you're a Vols fan, you're missing out. And the great thing here is that it's not one of these people that want you to pay $10 a month for extra fare that really isn't worth it. Their stuff is, and you ought to check it out on allfortennessee.com. Caleb Calhoun, the lead writer, and when he's not doing that, he's breaking scoops for USA Today. Tri-City Sports Now, I'm going to come back here. We're going to talk to Daniel Norris at the top of the hour. I'm going to look at some questions regarding Major League Baseball and what the big questions in baseball for all the glamour teams might be. Tri-City Sports Now. Are you familiar at all with Daniel Norris?